Wake Up Call DT, as well as on Facebook Live on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Facebook.com/Wake Up Call DT, and on YouTube.com/Wake Up Call DT. So however you're tuning in, welcome in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are inside of the Cafe Kubal studios in Cafe Kubal, here with you in central and upstate New York with multiple locations, easy for you to get to. 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street, where you can pick up all of those in Syracuse. You can also go to downtown Syracuse inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital, and you can get them there, as well as out in Manlius in their newer location that they have that was built during the pandemic here and put together, and that is on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. And, of course, their first ever drive-through location, which you can pick up at the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse. The locals know that as Sweetheart Corners, so you can go and see them there as well for Cafe Kubal, be it a cup of coffee or chai tea like me, whatever you like. Their sandwiches are incredible. Breakfasts are so great. So many awesome things to have, and of course all of their treats, their chocolate chip banana bread. Get out of here, so good. So got to get over to Cafe Kubal and enjoy your favorites today. And if you've never been there, well, now's the perfect time to go there and discover what your favorite is going to be. And of course, supporting local means a lot to our community of central and upstate New York, and you really can't put a price tag on supporting local, especially through everything we've been through. So thank you to everybody that has, and thank you to everybody that will do that and will continue to do that. So we appreciate it. With that being stated, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', list of topics for the day. PJ is up first. Papa Joe in his time slot here, his weekly post, and him and I will be talking about Major League Baseball player movement, as well as we'll get into the Jacksonville Jaguars Training Camp and what it's like to have training camp at all right now, to have fans back in front of the players and just what that means and where we can go from here. And in hour number 2, from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I will be featuring my Florida State Q&As. Had the opportunity to speak with Florida State going into the season, and this is Atlantic Action Week, as you all know. An Atlantic Action Week featuring all of the 7 institutions of the Atlantic Division of the ACC. And we already this week, earlier on, you heard from Boston College, Louisville, NC State, and Wake Forest. Today is Florida State and Clemson, and we round out the week of Atlantic Action Week with Syracuse tomorrow on this Friday. And the next week is the Coastal Division, and you will hear next week from all 7 teams inside of the Coastal, as I interviewed players and coaches from around the league of all 14 member institutions of the ACC. Florida State, today you're going to hear from head coach Mike Norvell, who's in his second season, but first season in front of us because the media wasn't around him last year due to COVID and we didn't have an ACC kickoff. Then you'll hear from transfer in defensive end Jermaine Johnson II will be joining the show. Then you'll hear from both quarterbacks, Jordan Travis and Mackenzie Milton of Florida State, Mackenzie Milton of UCF, where I covered him before that. And then it's from 10:30 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You'll hear from the Clemson Tigers, my Q&A with Dabo Sweeney of Clemson, and then you'll also hear from offensive guard Matt Bockhorst, and you'll hear from quarterback of the Clemson Tigers, DJ Uiagalelei, will be joining the show. So you'll hear from him in just a little bit as well, but not before we hop into Papa Joe here on the broadcast. PJ, how we doing today?
Pretty good. Go Jameis, what's up?
So I want to, you know what? I'm going to have to get you a T-shirt that's got something with Jameis. It's going to have to say "My man Jameis" and have a picture of Jameis that you can wear on Sundays.
Oh, geez. I don't think I would wear that, Daniel.
So, your man Jameis. So, I mean, like, I guess let's start there. I mean, I can't, and we talked about it on yesterday's show. I can't for the life of me see that Jameis Winston's going to be the next chapter of quarterback in New Orleans. I can't see it. I can't see the post-Drew Brees era featuring Jameis Winston. I can't physically believe that that's going to happen. I don't see him as the quarterback of the future for New Orleans. What do you think?
Well, he's at first. Let's admit that he really is a good athlete, a very, very good athlete.
Yeah.
Got a strong arm. Of course, he uses his legs. Jameis just is not smart enough. I mean, he tried at Tampa. He did his best, but he just isn't smart enough. And until he learns how to equate that with his physical play, he's not going to get any better. Now, he's going against a quarterback that really, frankly, is inferior to him in Taysom Hill. I mean, Taysom Hill doesn't have a strong arm, except he's got big legs, But he's smart. He knows what he's doing. He watched Drew Brees for years, and he knows what he's doing. So, frankly, it's just going to come down to who can digest the offensive plans quickly and safely to use. And I believe that's going to be Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I mean, Taysom Hill, here's the thing. I mean, Taysom he's a wild card. He's a jack of all trades. And if you build a team around that, like Lamar Jackson, obviously they're different. Lamar and Taysom are not the same, but just go with me on this for a second. If you have somebody who is multiple and can do different things, then, you can build the team around that weapon, and learn how to use that weapon. And that's what I think, New Orleans has to figure it out. Because if Jameis is under center, then you have, a normal quarterback under center that's throws a lot of interceptions and throws a lot of touchdowns. But if you bring in Taysom and you let Taysom be your guy, well, then your offense changes because you need to fit the run and you need to scheme it that way. So, Sean Payton's he's a smart guy. He's been around the block for a long time. He knows what he's doing. And he needs to figure out, what type of offense does he want to have? Because the Taysom Hill offense is going to be different than the Jameis Winston offense. And you can use them both, but at some point they're going to branch out from each other and they're not going to be on the same line. So I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, Jameis is extremely talented. Listen, Florida State won the last BCS national championship before they switched over to the college football playoff, and that was with Jameis Winston. So, that is something that, you can obviously appreciate. But at the same time, the man throws 33 touchdowns to 30 interceptions in a season. So that is going to be a danger zone area, and you're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna do and how you're gonna use him. But I would imagine Taysom Hill is going to get some opportunity and some play. He doesn't cost a lot of money, so that's good there too. And but I mean, is either one of these quarterbacks the future of the team? I say no.
Right, I agree.
So
Taysom Hill, though, at comparison to Lamar Jackson, there really isn't a comparison because, frankly, Lamar is still a little slight to be running around the way he does. And I say it all the time when he's running quarterback, stop running, will you please? But Taysom Hill, he's a beast. He's an inside linebacker. I mean, he's just big. He's big and strong, so he's going to take the hit. Like Lamar's not going to take the hit. He's too slender. But we'll let someone else figure about that. We got it. Our Jags are in full contact now at the training center, and Trevor Lawrence looks good one day and doesn't look good the next day, and so on and so on. Just trials of a rookie quarterback. He's like, I think 2 days ago he tossed 3 interceptions, and then yesterday he throws a touchdown pass. So he's a work in progress, but he's going to be a hell of a work in progress. This kid is so talented that the players actually drop their jaws when he throws the ball somewhere. I mean, he can throw 50 yards on a rope. He's extremely talented, and to get back to Jameis, he's got the smart to do this.
Yeah, so to see where they go from here. I mean, I think it's just sad that I don't want to believe that Drew Brees is done. I don't want to believe it. And Phillip Rivers may not be done because he retired and Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, Carson Wentz, for goodness sakes, the people of Philadelphia, every time he gets under center, they shake a little because they know he's talented, but they also know that he gets hurt a lot. And so then he leaves, and people in Philadelphia take a breath of fresh air. that deep breath knowing, hey, we don't have to worry about Carson Wentz getting hurt anymore. He goes over to Indy, and Indy goes, okay, we're still reeling from Andrew Luck. We had Jacoby Brissett under center. Then we had Phillip Rivers for a season. Now we got this Carson Wentz guy. This should be okay as long as he stays Oh, he's injured again? So now the Colts are dealing with that. Carson Wentz cannot seem to stay healthy, and now the Colts don't even get their quarterback that they just went after. What are your thoughts on Carson Wentz, and should Phillip Rivers unretire?
Well, I like Carson Wentz as a quarterback. He's proved he can play this game, but someone as big as he is, he's 6'7" and 235 or 240. How can someone that big get hurt all the time? I don't get it. But it's a problem, a real problem, and they're going to have to solve it. Phillip Rivers, he's a young 39 or a young 40, I guess. He's played many years. He was top of his game, multi-years as an All-Pro. He can make all the throws still. I think maybe he's just hanging back in the woodworks there and see if there's some problems, if some team needs a veteran quarterback to come in and help out. I think you're going to see Phillip play this year somewhere. It may even be back for Indianapolis again.
Yeah, and that's the thing is Indianapolis needs somebody. So he might as well get training, might as well get ready, might as well prepare himself to come back. Speaking here with Papa Joe, PJ in his normal place here on Thursdays on Wake Up Call exclusively, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time. PJ, let's hop into Jaguars camp. Jacksonville Jaguars here without pads. People got a little bit concerned about Trevor Lawrence, but the pads are on now, and we are seeing this go on. And so to see the team with the pads on, moving on here, and seeing what they can do. Lawrence, they're talking about him and what he's been able to do. Up and down performance on Monday. Tuesday was a different story. They said he bounced back. They said while Lawrence didn't have an impressive start during the 7-on-7, tossing an interception to linebacker Joe Schobert during the session, he bounced back here, connected with several receivers, including Marvin Jones Jr., Laviska Shenault Jr., and DJ Chark Jr. on the day. The three juniors that we would look to be the top three receivers on the team right now. Lawrence's toss to Marvin Jones was, he got to fit the ball in between three defenders, putting it only where Jones could grab the football. Offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell noted that training camp is when you want to see Lawrence make mistakes, learn, and grow. He said, quote, "We want him to learn. We want him to grow and try to put him in the toughest situations possible and then be able to see how he reacts right there in the moment and then see how he's able to bounce back the next day as well. I like what he did. We still have another turnover today, but we will continue to work on that." End quote. So, we're seeing some things get installed. C.J. Henderson is back in some capacity after being on the reserve COVID-19 list back on July 23rd. So we're seeing him. James Robinson is out there doing his thing. They're stating that he looks faster, that he's improved his speed, and he was able to escape on a couple of runs here, showing a renewed burst and downfield speed as he knows his job is challenged by Travis Etienne. So, there's a lot of things going on here, and we're getting to see camp in full swing. So, what are your thoughts? Because some people freak the heck out. They see their quarterback throw an interception. They go, oh my gosh, here we go again. This guy stinks. But, as Darrell Bevell said, you want them to make mistakes in training camp. You want them to try to fit the ball in and throw an interception in training camp because you want them to see where they can and can't do it. So I get a little bit, I guess I see things differently. When fans see an interception thrown or they see a mistake or a fumble or whatever, they turn around and say, oh my gosh, Trevor Lawrence, look at him, he's trash. We just spent the number one pick, da-da-da-da. Where I see it as, let him make the mistakes now. Let him try that play action now. Let him try that, let him try rolling out now and try the pitch. Let him try that shot downfield. Let him try getting the ball into space where there's three defenders and see if he can fit it in. I want him to do this because that's what practice is. It's trial and error so that in a game he doesn't make these mistakes. So, you don't want to see him throw an interception or fumble the ball, but at the same time, I want to see him try everything so that he knows what works so that he's ready for the season.
Oh, that's true. He's come a long way. He's got a lot to learn, but he's a smart guy. There's no reason why he can't lead this team. Um, Coach Meyer is, he's a strange guy, and he uses a drill where he pits an offensive man against a defensive man, or two offensive people opposing each other to see who can win a contest. It's called subjectivity. He says he doesn't have subjectivity, and I'm smart, but I didn't know what that meant, so I had to look it up. It means you got no feelings, no taste, or no opinions to what's happening. It's just whatever's in front of you wins. You don't say, well, Tim Tebow is my buddy. Well, he didn't win this round. I'm going to set it aside. That's not the way he worked. And he had Tebow go up against the Merkers kid from Carolina that's supposed to be a real killer. And he held his own. They went at each other 4 times and they split 2-2. So Meyer's going to have to make some tough decisions, but that's what he does. He pits players against each other in a circle, and they go at it either 1 or 2 or 4 times or 5 times, whatever satisfies him. And then he goes on to another person. It's pretty neat. I'd like to watch it because I'm sure you could probably hear the hitting from here to St. Augustine. So it'd be neat to hear that. But Meyer he's a no nonsense guy. I mean, that's what he is. I mean, he's not going to favor anyone. If Tebow's going to make this team, he's going to make it on his ability to run, block, and catch. And so far, he's doing okay. I like him, frankly, to make the team. I think he will be one of the 3 tight ends that they keep. Now, in saying that, if he doesn't make the top 3, I think they'll offer him a taxi ride. And if he does that, he's just one step away from going to the big team. So whether his ego will allow him to do that, I'm not sure. But he wants to win. He looks fit. I mean, he's a big guy now, Daniel. I mean, when he came from Nice High School here in St. Augustine, the University of Florida, he was a real rail-thin guy, 6'3", maybe 190, something like that. And every year in Florida, he kept on putting on weight. And, well, he's a beast. He's a beast. His arms are thick. His legs are thick. He's just a big, strong man. And I think Meyer's going to take advantage of him somewhere. That's for sure.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talk in the camp. The stuff coming out of the camp is all fluff stuff. There's nothing concrete. It's all BS. It's busy stuff. Just enough to keep the newspaper guys asking questions and stuff. It's not very much fun just to read all that junk. One thing I did pull out, though, is 2 players that are actually really killing us besides Lawrence, and that's your man Travis Etienne. This kid's a dynamo. He's going to be on the field a lot. They're going to flip him around all over the place. He can do anything. He's extremely talented, and him and Robinson are going to make a heck of a duel.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I was talking about it with fantasy football. I think people forget about James Robinson because Travis Etienne is there. Trevor Lawrence knows him, and they play together at Clemson, so obviously James Robinson's a forgotten man. Hey, listen, folks, this man was undrafted. He's already been a forgotten man. He's already been a disrespected, looked-over man, and his response to that was over 1,000 yards in his rookie season as an undrafted free agent out of Illinois State. So, and now they're saying he's faster, arguably. And, I want to see that with my own eyes, but James Robinson, he saved my butt last year in fantasy. I picked him up in the middle of the season, and Jaguars have a bad game, he has 2 touchdowns. Jaguars have a bad game, he has 100 and something yards. Jaguars have a bad game, he has 2 touchdowns and 180 yards. So, I mean, he was the one constant in Jacksonville last year on a team that only won 1 game. So, to me, when he's done all of that, I understand. He wasn't there with Urban Meyer. He was there with Doug Marrone. But talent is talent. And James Robinson, that's a guy that you have to find room for. And Travis Etienne and James Robinson, listen, I don't know much about Urban Meyer, but I'm sure he's a greedy man. And why would you give up one for the other? You use them both. If he comes in and he knows he has that talent and he wants to win, and obviously he as a coach he's got to prove himself because some college coaches don't transfer to pro. So knowing what he can do, look at Nick Saban, for goodness sakes. He didn't transfer to the pro game, but arguably he's the best college football coach out there. So Urban Meyer, to come out of retirement and to do this, he has to go out there with all guns blazing. And if you got Travis Etienne and you got James Robinson, you got two potential machine guns pointed on either end, which is a great thing to have. I think James Robinson is a talented individual, and I think that he needs to be utilized with Travis Etienne. Not one for the other. I think they both need to be out there.
Imagine seeing those two guys line up in a split backfield and the defensive coach on the other side of the field thinking, what the hell am I going to do now, you know?
Yeah.
There's another player that's really sticking out, and that's my main man, Laviska Shenault. I told you last year that before the season started, this kid was a killer. Now he's a killer. Now he's going to be a starting wide receiver. He is a beast. He can go up and get the ball. If Lawrence wants to fit the ball between three guys, Shenault is the guy to do that. He will get the ball between those three guys. He's fast. He's cunning. He's strong. He's quick. He's everything that the Jaguars need a wide receiver that haven't had in the last 5 or 6 years. I like him. I love him. I think he's going to have a huge game, huge season for the Jaguars, and I look for him to complement the other wide receivers. If not, instead of him learning off them, I think they can learn off them. I like.
Yeah, Laviska Shenault, coming onto the team last season, he has a lot to offer as well. He's got a lot of good that he can bring to this squad. So a lot of young talent, a lot of guys that are still looking to prove themselves. DJ Chark out of LSU looking to prove himself. Laviska Shenault looking to prove himself. James Robinson did a lot last year, but now he's with a new staff looking to prove himself. So, that's the beauty of Jacksonville, is that for these last few years, they've really had a lot of young talent. So as far as the hopeful time that the Jaguars will be able to have them for, it's great. But now it's about proving it. Now it's about going out there and getting it done and making it happen. So that's where the Jaguars are right now. Obviously we're looking at the quarterback situation. We're looking at the running back situation. We're looking at the wide receivers, PJ, and hopeful that this team can actually put something together on the field instead of doing what they've done in past years, which is have talent, but really not do much of anything with that talent. And, now the answers are going to have to come in. Listen, they have 172 receivers on this depth chart right now. So somebody's not going to be here when that week one whistle blows. We have DJ Chark, Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault, Colin Johnson, Philip Dorsett, Jamal Agnew, Pharaoh Cooper, Jalen Camp, Laquan Treadwell, Josh Hammond, Josh Imatorbhebhe. Sorry about that name. It looks like I hit a lot of keys on my keyboard, but it's a difficult name. So Imatorbhebhe, I think. Tim Jones, Tevin Jones, Jeff Cotton, and Terry Godwin, all on the team. Those are the guys. Okay?
Well,
so
they're gonna have to earn their spot somewhere, And if Meyer's playing this little game here with the subjectivity, you're fighting each other and trying each other and see who's the best. I think it works out. I think you're going to find that the wide receivers that want to play will stay. The ones that can't cut are going to leave. There's another player that I got my eyes on, too, that a little bit of talk coming out. That's Walker Little. They picked him up, a huge man, like 6'7" and 330 or something like that. He's moving some mountains out there. And the way I'm hearing it and reading about it, there's actually a chance that he could even start this year.
Yeah.
Meyer, he has an eye for talent. That's, he is a master at that. And he built Florida from nothing. And then he goes out to Ohio State. Ohio State has always had athletes up there, but they never had a coach that can win. Meyer wins. And I wouldn't be surprised. We talk about the Jaguars forever. We love to do it, and we want to see them do well. And I want to sit here in my home and watch television every Sunday. I want to see them play, and I want to see at least an 8-8 record. And there's a good chance that they could do even better than that. But I'm not getting my hopes up too much. I mean, I want to be realistic too. We're talking about a whole new system coming in. It may take a couple of years for them to know all that stuff. But Lawrence is the man to lead them, and so is Meyer. And I'm really anxious for some news to come out of Jacksonville to say this is happening here. But Meyer plays it close to the vest. He's not gonna say anything, not gonna do anything until he's ready to do it. And frankly, that's not going to happen until the end of the month in the cut time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you got to be strategic. You got to be smart in what you're doing here. Jacksonville has nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, you want to win. You want to win now. And Greg said, didn't mention him much, but Marvin Jones will be a factor and a contributor for the Jags. We did mention Marvin. So Marvin is the guy that caught the pass amongst 3 defenders from Trevor Lawrence recently in camp here. Marvin Jones is a guy that never caught on in Cincinnati, where he was supposed to be the number 2 to A.J. Green. He goes to Detroit, and he saves my butt in fantasy football a bunch of times as their number 2. And then for some reason, Detroit let Kenny Galladay, Golden Tate, and Marvin Jones Jr. go, which was their best 3-headed wide receiver situation they've had in a long time. And Marvin Jones comes to Jacksonville, and I think Marvin Jones is going to do a lot for this team potentially. I think there's a lot of good stuff here. And, and Greg said 8-9 for the Jaguars since they have an extra game this season with 17 games in 18 weeks. 8-9 would be incredible, he said, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's exactly where I have them. And I was on a show yesterday as a special guest last night on Herb FM Sports Radio in Baltimore, Maryland, and I said exactly that. I said I believe the Jaguars will be 8-9 or 9-8 because of the 17 games. Now you can't have a 500 record. I believe the Jaguars will get to 8-9 this season at least. I really do think they're going to be right at the equator, and that's what you said, PJ.
That's true. My bad, Greg. There are 17 games, so an 8-9 record certainly is better than an 8. Not as good as an 8-8, but 8-9 would be fine. We're going to see things happen very quickly because I think Meyer probably already made up his mind on some of these players. He knows what he wants to do. We have our sheet that I refer to all the time. It's got all the players on it that were drafted, and that's going to be pared down probably every week. Maybe he's going to release a couple of guys. So it's going to be exciting to find out who's going to finally make it and how the offense is going to get on the field. Defense needs to step up too. Joe Schobert can't do it all. I mean, he's some Miles Jack. He can't do it all. I mean, they need some serious play from some really good players back there. But we're counting our chickens here, catching on Trevor Lawrence and all the boys that he's playing with. If he's got 4 or 5 wide receivers that can all get up and get it, he's going to have fun. I wouldn't be surprised if you see 4 wide receivers on the field at one time with no back, maybe a tight end or something like that. He's got the weapons and he's got the arm, and I know he's got the smarts. So let's hope that he can do it.
Yeah, and in Jacksonville, we're going to continue to monitor the things that are there. And as we get closer to the season, PJ and I will be discussing specifically, some of the topics here that are on our minds that we're really locking into. James Robinson and Travis Etienne, the wide receiver situation. We might be looking at linebackers one day and whatever that may be, or Gardner Minshew and why he's still there. So we'll talk about a lot of different things here as we get closer and closer to the season, during the season, after the season. We'll have plenty coming up for you. But that'll be in the coming weeks as we move forward. What's coming up right after this fast break? Major League Baseball moves. The MLB trade deadline and those teams that are trying to make a run in the playoffs have made some decisions. So, who did what? What makes sense? What does Papa Joe like? Because that's all that matters. We'll talk about that in just a little bit here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, you are watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. You're listening on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. We will be back here in just a moment after this fast break from our fantastic partners in Central and Upstate New York with Papa Joe speaking on the movement that we have now had inside of Major League Baseball. What does it mean? Who did what? Who won these movements? Because that's what matters here, is the people that made the right moves at the right time as they get set for the postseason. We'll talk about all of that inside the Cafe Kubal studios right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you, our new Carvalite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvalite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, where you're listening. You are watching on Facebook Live on facebook.com/livenowdt, as well as facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and of course on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So however you're connected with the show, we appreciate you tuning in every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time to all of our wonderful channels, and appreciate you so very much. It is free to listen and free to watch, so make sure you're doing that, and we appreciate you. So thank you for being a part of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora all throughout the week, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It is Thursday, which means it's Papa Joe time in hour number one. We spoke about training camp, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Phillip Rivers, as well as Carson Wentz's injury, Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. And we got another note here that said Minshew and his jorts could also possibly be a Colt. Well, I mean, this is the thing that the Jaguars have right now. They have, and maybe this is the intelligence of Urban Meyer. They have trade value because Gardner Minshew is young. Gardner Minshew has done some good things as a starter, and he's proven that he can motivate a team. He's proven that he can win. He's proven, because listen, I don't put all last season on him. So he's proven that he can do some good things, and he's young. So keeping him on the roster for when a team has an injury happen, like the Colts, or a team, there's certain teams out there that just kind of don't know what the hell's going on. And if their guy doesn't, look at Minnesota with all their COVID list and this, that, whatever, and they got like nobody there. So Gardner Minshew staying on the Jaguars roster could be very smart for Urban Meyer and the team and Shad Khan, because they have trade bait. And if and when a team has their quarterback go down, they have trade bait. So if they need something during the season, they can put Gardner Minshew out there. If they need something for the draft, they can put Gardner Minshew out there. So smart for Jacksonville to keep Gardner Minshew, knowing that at some point in the season, there's the potential that a quarterback will go down. You never want to see it happen, but it's already happened in Indianapolis. So, PJ, looking at it from that angle, what do you think about the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars have Gardner Minshew sitting there, and if and when a team needs a quarterback like the Colts right now, they can turn around and ask for whatever they want, knowing that some teams are going to be desperate heading toward the season.
I don't know. I don't like that. If I'm a football man, one of these teams, I gotta say that I gotta have a 1-2 quarterback all the time. And Minshew shouldn't go anywhere. He needs to stay right where he is. You know, Trevor Lawrence, as good as he is and as strong as he is, he's not a very bulky man. I mean, he's 6'6" and maybe 225 or something like that. Bigger than Lamar Jackson, but he's got a stronger arm than Lamar Jackson. He can get hurt on one play. If he's rolling out and gets hit by a linebacker and he falls wrong, I mean, you know, he's out. I mean, what are you going to do then? You know, you've got to have Minshew. He stays here. I'm serious about that. They don't need to. Look, they don't need anything. They got enough players. And you've got 90 players. I mean, Urban, come on, come up with the top 53 and make Gardner Minshew one of them, please.
Well, you know, and you bring up a good point. You know, I believe he should be there. Technically, with Tim Tebow, you got 3 guys that can throw on the team now. So, you know, it's about spacing, and it's about, I mean, they're not going to keep the 900 wide receivers that they have. So, but it's about spacing, and it's about making sense. So, we're going to have to see where things shake out from here. But, you know, hopefully they make the right decision, and they keep who they need to keep, and they do what they need to do. But I love Gardner Minshew. I'm a fan. You're a fan. You know, I don't want to see him go. I'm looking at it from purely a move standpoint that they have trade bait. But do I want to see them get rid of him? Of course I don't. Because I'm a fan of his. And I don't want to see him go do what many players have done when they've left Jacksonville, which is go be successful elsewhere. So I'm greedy in that sense. I don't want him to be successful anywhere but Jacksonville, but Trevor Lawrence is their guy, potentially. So you would imagine, from here on till, I don't know, 15 years from now. So, you know, that's maybe 20 years. So that's, you know, that's something that he's got to look to as we move forward. He is good trade bait, but like you said, you need a backup, but Gardner Minshew deserves better than that. So we shall see. All I know is that fantastic mustache and all the and the headband, everything he brings to the table is just beautiful. So, you know, and we're still waiting, Jaguars, for the royalty money, as Papa Joe and I told you to bank on Gardner Minshew. And when the crybaby Jalen Ramsey was off in the corner stomping his feet and bouncing up and down, for you to turn the spotlight to Gardner Minshew and positivity and make money off of that and really just focus on that so the Jalen Ramsey stuff wouldn't be as pronounced, and that's exactly what they did, and PJ and I never got paid for it. So we're waiting for our royalty checks, and, you know, Shad Khan, he's doing a lot of stuff, PJ. I think he can cut us a pretty hefty check. I don't think it's going to hurt his bank account.
I think so, too. I want free tickets for a couple of years. That'll work.
Yeah, we'll take those. That'll be fine. So Major League Baseball, let's hop from one field to another. Major League Baseball trade tracker, a lot of different things went down, a lot of people making moves. The New York Mets, the New York Yankees, 2 teams that are trying to rep the place that never sleeps. They're trying to both get into the playoffs. A lot of things going on. A lot of players, you know, kind of bouncing around here. I'm going to just kind of let you freewheel through this thing, Papa Joe. What can you tell me about the trades that have happened and what your thoughts are on this as we track the trades here through the end of July? The MLB trade deadline scheduled at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday, July 30th. So I got everything sitting in front of me. What moves do you want to talk about?
No, I can talk about this for 3 shows, for crying out loud. You know, it starts with the Dodgers trying to buy the World Series, and that's essentially what they're going to try to do when they got Max Scherzer and Trey Turner from the Washington Nationals. I can't remember in recent history a triple Cy Young Award winner leaving a team to go to another team with its own Cy Young winner, as I do with the Dodgers. How they got Scherzer, I don't know, but the Dodgers, I am still number 2, but the Dodgers are the team. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 75% of their games for the rest of the season and take charge of that division. But there's another player that snuck in that people haven't read about. Maybe you have, I don't know. pitcher by the name of Cole Hamels. Hasn't pitched since 19. Had some problems. Cole Hamels was an all-star with Texas. He was an all-star with the Phillies. He had to take some time off for arm problems. He just signed a $1 million contract with the Dodgers. Not only do they have Scherzer and Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw, now they're going to have Cole Hamels. You got 4 guys that can stop anyone. So I'm very excited about that. The Dodgers are the team to beat. I told you earlier that the National League will go through the National League West with the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres. The Padres are falling back a little bit. It looks like maybe the Dodgers and Giants are going to start duking it out. You know, there's a lot of time to talk about this, but we don't have enough time today. But given the way I run my teams down, I'm getting to the point where really you got to start talking about wild cards.
Yeah.
Because the teams, the big teams are going to be there. They're not going to go anywhere. I can see that the Giants made a big move in getting Chris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs won the series in 2016 with Joe Madden. There are 3 All-Stars: Javier Baez, Chris Bryant, and let me think. I'll come to it. Those guys, they made the World Series, and all 3 of them are gone. Oh, Anthony Rizzo were the other guy. Okay, so Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez are gone, and they've already done good things for their teams already. Yeah. Rizzo's hit a couple of home runs the last couple of nights. Baez is a cocky little rascal, and he already started a fight last night with the Marlins bench after he hit a home run. So he's a funky kind of guy, but a hell of a deal. Tampa got Nelson Cruz, and they're gonna still stay up there. Cruz is a power hitter, been in the league for years, almost has 300 home runs. Fine. Milwaukee has some serious issues, Daniel, and I'm really upset about it. They got Christian Yelich and Josh Hader, who's the best reliever in baseball. They're both on a COVID list. Yeah. How these guys contacted this COVID without getting shots boggles my mind. These guys are supposed to be smart. Milwaukee can lose their division if these guys don't come back up and start producing. Chicago White Sox got probably one of the best relievers in baseball, Kimbrel, from I think it was the Cubs. Anyway, the White Sox are leading their division by multi-games, 6 or 7 or 8 games. They're not going anywhere. The rest of the league is going to have to be playing. The rest of the division is going to have to be playing for the wild card.
Yeah.
Houston got a good reliever, Graveman, from the Seattle. Probably going to put them over the hump. They got some other relievers too. That's good. The Red Sox, they didn't make any moves. They tried to make some moves, but they didn't get any moves, and they're counting on 2 guys to come back to help them. Chris Sale, who is a Cy Young Award winner, had Tommy John surgery. He's been working hard. He's going to be pitching, I hope, this week. Schwarber is the guy that got from the Nationals, and he's still hitting home runs, but he got hurt, so we'll wait for him to come back. San Diego made a couple of moves. They got Frazier from Pittsburgh, who is leading the league in hitting, which is fine, but the punch and Judy hitter. Oakland got Starling Marte from the Miami. That's going to help them tremendously. They got Josh Harrison also. These guys are quality players. Marte is an all-star. The Yankees got Gallo from the Rangers, Rizzo from the Cubs. You know, these guys are – I said this last week. Why are they doing this when their pitching is so poor? They got – Garrett Cole got nailed for 8 runs the last time he started. They don't have any backup behind him, and they get 2 more sluggers. I don't figure the Yankees. Frankly, I don't think the Yankees make it this year. I don't think they do, because they're not good enough. They can outscore you, 8-10 or something like that, but that's not going to work. That's not going to work. The Reds are doing okay. Nothing to blow your skirts up. The Mets, I told you, got Baez from the Cubs. They got Rich Hill, who's a left-handed pitcher. He's 1,000,000 years old. He's got him from Miami or from Tampa. They got him from Tampa.
Yeah.
They're going to try to carry through. Seattle is hanging in there. Toronto, they got Jose Barrios from the Twins. They gave up a lot for him, but he's worth it. The Braves, they're a 500 team. They got John Pederson from the Dodgers. So, you know, there's a lot of movements. There's a lot of good players that got traded, and they're already starting to prove dividends for their team. I do have to mention that probably the all-star and make surgery on his hip, so he's out. He's not going to come back.
Yeah.
Mike Trout was supposed to come back last week. He's still out for another 2 weeks because his hamstring is not healing. And he's a big, strong guy, so he's got some problems. Max Scherzer, we talked about it earlier. He won his first start last night with the Dodgers, struck out 10. So you can see the way things are forming here. The big teams got the big players, and the big players make plays, and they win ball games. And it's some of the teams. I think I'm going to start going from 1 to 10 instead of 1 to 15, because I think from 10 to 15 or 11 to 15, those teams are strictly 500 teams, and they got an outside chance of making a wild card. So next week when I do this, it's going to be teams 1 through 10 instead of 1 through 15.
Yeah, and Papa Joe here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios, talking about Major League Baseball. Like you said, a lot of these movements, you mentioned a lot of them. The Yankees were very active, and so were the Mets. What are your thoughts on the two New York teams? I mentioned it a few moments ago. The fact that they're really trying to make a push. At the time we're talking here on Thursday, August 5th, the Yankees are only 6 games behind first place in the American League East, behind the Rays, and 5 games behind the second-place Boston Red Sox. The New York Mets are ahead in the National League East, but only by a game and a half over the Philadelphia Phillies, and only 2.5 games above the Atlanta Braves. So what's your take on the Mets and the Yankees? Did they make good enough moves to try and, in the Yankees' case, close the gap and get to first place or get close, and for the Mets to stay in first place? Did they do enough?
Yankees did not do enough. You heard me recite that.
Yeah.
They didn't get any pitchers. I mean, Garrett Cole is a Cy Young Award winner, All-Star. He signed for $300 million. But he can't carry the team by himself. Every 5th day he's going to go out and win. What's going to happen the other 4 days when your starters can't even go 5 innings? Oh, no. They needed to get some pitching, and they didn't do it. The Mets are pitching rich, but they're also on a disabled list. Baez is a hell of a pickup from the Cubs. He's a fiery guy, plays a hell of a shortstop. He's kind of a punky guy, but he hits the hell out of the ball, runs fast, feels brilliantly. Him and Lindor are going to that combination right there at second and shortstop are going to give the Mets a chance to win their division. I really think the Mets can win going forward, and if Jacob deGrom can come back and pitch anywhere close to what he was doing before he got hurt, it's going to help the Mets an awful lot. I like the Mets better than I do the Yankees.
Yeah, and that's kind of how the season has gone. The Mets have done better. So, to see where they are right now, they have to keep off the Phillies. They have to keep off the Braves. They have to keep off the Nationals, and for goodness sakes, the Marlins have had their number. They got to keep them off too. So, all I know is the Mets are fighting to stay in the playoffs. The Yankees are fighting to get in, and my Diamondbacks are fighting to have the worst record ever in baseball. 34.5 games out of first place in the National League West. 34-75. Last week when we talked a week or so ago, they were as many games behind first place as they had wins, and they're still there. 34 wins, 34.5 games back. This team 13-41 on the road, but they've only lost 1 game in a row, so that's a good thing there. In the last 10, they're 4-6, so almost 500. The Arizona Diamondbacks, PJ. Tell me something good about Arizona Diamondback moving forward. The Arizona Diamondbacks of today. Is there anything positive that you can tell me that I could take with me to put in my pocket for later?
Oh, Daniel. That's a tough one right there. I don't even know half of their players. But it doesn't matter because they're not going to win, and neither is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not going anywhere either. I mean, they're going to have both of these teams are going to have 100 losses. You understand that? It's very difficult to do. Pittsburgh's 41-67. So, but you're holding down last place by itself.
Yeah.
They traded away Escobar Soria, who's a hell of a reliever, and Stephen Boyd, who's a big, strong hitter. The D-backs need to figure out how quickly they can be competitive in that decision. They have a super pitcher, Madison Bumgarner, who has a 1.8 ERA over his last 4 starts. Bumgarner was a champion with the San Francisco Giants. He won 3 World Series for them. So Arizona says, "Well, we're gonna sign you as a free agent." That's great, Arizona, but where are the rest of the players?
Yeah.
You can't expect Madison Bumgarner to win again like Cole. He'll go win his game. What happens to the other 4 guys? Nowhere. They gave away too much. Soria is one of my favorite relievers. Joakim Soria. He backed up Bumgarner a lot, but they're gone. So for me to say something good about Arizona, there isn't anything good, Daniel, except for Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, I was going to say that I thought the best thing you were going to say is that they have nice weather. So, that's kind of where we're at right now. But with that being said, PJ, we thank you so much for being a part of the show. As always, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Thursdays. We'll talk with you very soon. We went to both fields, football and baseball, and I will look forward to being in touch with you shortly. So have a great day, stay safe, and I look forward to talking with you.
Thanks, bud. See you later. Bye.
Take care. That coming from Papa Joe here, where sports meets that thing called life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate you hanging out with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal, you can find them by going to 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, where you'll find Kubal Co-works, as well as 401 South Salina Street, and, of course, 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in Syracuse, New York. And, of course, you'll find them at their newest location, which is their first ever drive-through. And you can go there to the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse for Sweetheart Corners. So a lot of great stuff coming up here. I got some more messages that came in. And Greg had made a statement before, so responded to it here. He said, Trevor was number 1 overall pick, huge investment. Got to set him up for success and give him an opportunity to grow and develop. Doesn't need Minshew thinking he could take his job. I wrote back, and you know what? I do think he needs Minshew to think he could take his job, because you need to have that fire underneath your butt. You have to have that fire underneath your butt. I think it's good. I mean, some guys need it. Some guys, some people need it. Some people don't. Some men, some women need that fire of competition. Some people don't. I think it's okay. Now, depending on the situation, this is what I responded. I said, Minshew is a good insurance policy for the Jaguars, but he's also trade bait. It's easy to throw it all away when you draft a quarterback number 1 overall. But for every Peyton Manning, there's a Ryan Leaf. So as much as I'm excited for what Lawrence has done, I'm cautiously optimistic, knowing that he hasn't done anything in the NFL yet. Everything he's done has been in high school and college. Greg said, sure hope you don't have a Ryan Leaf situation that would set your franchise back even more years. I'm very optimistic that you drafted your quarterback for the next 10 years. Just got to set him up for success. And I think that's the thing. They've given him running backs. They've built depth on the offensive line, which is something they haven't had in a million years. They've also... they have wide receivers, young wide receivers, capable wide receivers. So you have all of that. You got all of that, okay? And you built depth at every piece of the defense, defensive line, linebackers, and the secondary. So they have built him for success. They have set, and you got Josh Lambo, who, when healthy, can boot this thing from a million miles away. So he is set up for success. Having Gardner Minshew there, depending on how the situation goes, sometimes it hurts you, sometimes it doesn't. But for me, I think it's good to have the competition. I think it's good to have him there, because it'll help light a fire under his butt. I'm hopeful Trevor Lawrence will be the Jaguars quarterback for the next 15 to 20 years. But we'll have to see how it all shakes out. And to go back to the mention of the jorts, I have jean shorts, and I haven't worn them in a while. They're very heavy. But I have I have jean shorts, and I wore jean shorts all my life growing up. And I dated this one girl from Tennessee, and she called them jorts, and I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, jorts, jean shorts. And I had never known they were called jorts before. But we lived, when we both lived down in Florida, we dated each other for a little bit. And that's the first time I heard the statement of jorts. So shout out to you. You know who you are. And for making that statement about my jorts. But listen, I got no problem with it. Gardner Minshew and I will wear jorts with him and hang out any day. So I'm cool with you. Hopefully you're cool with me. I appreciate you, Gardner Minshew. So those are my words for that. Another thing here, your D-backs do have a good young core position players, but the team is years away. Develop pitching going to be key. Yeah, I mean, the Arizona Diamondbacks won the World Series, fastest team to get to a World Series and win it. They did it in 4 years, and then in 2001, and they beat the Yankees. And then, you look at the fact that they struggled after that. Curt Schilling left, and eventually they had a nice young team of talent, and they got back to the playoffs. And then they kind of just they won the World Series, then it takes them forever, then they get back to the playoffs, then it takes them forever, then they get back to the playoffs. So they have to have nice young talent to go with a great group of vets. Got to take care of pitching and fielding and hitting. I know that sounds like, okay, Dan, that duh, but it's true. Papa Joe brought it up. Your team might be able to belt them homers, but pitching, you don't want the team to have to hit, 5 homers a game. So, it's one of those things where you're in a situation where if you have good hitting but you don't have good pitching, you're going to run into some snags, and vice versa. So, in the situation of the Arizona Diamondbacks, they got to take care of their young talent. They got to get some vet talent. They got to take care of pitching, fielding, and hitting, and figure it out. They're going to have to be very active in the offseason. They drafted a bunch of guys recently here, but they're going to have to be bullish in the offseason. That's just reality. They're going to have to spend some cheddar and figure out what works and what doesn't work, because it ain't working this year. So, and I don't want to see this next year or anything like it. 34 and a half games back. Ridiculous. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we continue Atlantic Action Week. Atlantic Action Week, very excited about it. All coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora today, featuring the Florida State Seminoles and the Clemson Tigers. Inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life, and I hope you're doing well. Inside the Cafe Kubal studios, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and of course on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com. So however you're tuning into the show, thank you so much. Every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Cafe Kubal with locations all throughout central and upstate New York, there for you every single day. You can find them in Syracuse at 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street, and inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital. You can find them out in Manlius at that giant behemoth of a brown-striped building, right where all the roads converge into Manlius at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. And you can find their first ever drive-through location. Awesome that they have a drive-through. Another addition to an already incredible company of everything they've been doing. You can find that at the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse at Sweetheart Corners. So make sure you go out there today. So we've got a message here coming in. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think... Let me see here. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would be talking or consuming this much Jags football talk or discussion. Yeah, that's what you get. And that's what you get when you get a man who, I feel like half of my heart was born in the South. That's the thing. I'm a Southern boy. Somewhere inside, I'm a Southern boy. So, I was born in New York. A lot of my family's in Florida, and my likes and my likes are, I'm like a country city boy or a city country boy. I don't know. Somehow I'm like the balance of both. So I love it, and I find and appreciate more and more appreciation for it as I continue on in my life. So, just interesting in that way. So with that being stated here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here, hanging out with us. And it is now time to continue Atlantic Action Week. And within this time period, between 10 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, it's time for you to hear from the Florida State Seminoles. I had the opportunity to speak with Florida State at the ACC kickoff, and that opportunity features Mike Norvell, their head coach, as well as Jermaine Johnson II, defensive end, quarterback Jordan Travis, and quarterback Mackenzie Milton, who's come in after 2 years of being away from game play due to a potentially very, very lethal leg injury, a very scary leg injury. So happy to have him back on the field. More than anything, I was so happy that I had the opportunity to speak with him as I covered him when he was at UCF, and he was a Heisman hopeful. So without further ado, it's time to get into my conversations with the Florida State Seminoles as we continue Atlantic Action Week here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And we thank you so much for being here for Atlantic Action Week and for everything that we do on Wake Up Call. You heard from Boston College, Louisville, NC State, and Wake Forest. Today you'll hear from Clemson and Florida State. And tomorrow we'll round out the Atlantic Action Week with Syracuse. So, with that being said, it's now time to hear from Mike Norvell in my first question to him. And here we go. Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach, your first year at Florida State, a pandemic year. Just what you can say about navigating through that first year and what you can really take from it, because it was such a unique year, and at the same time you were trying to obviously establish some culture there for yourself.
Absolutely. I think unique is an understatement to the year that we just experienced, but I'm grateful for this year. And people can easily point to the challenges that what we experienced and the things that we had to go through, but I'm grateful to be able to have been a part of it with this team, the guys that I get to coach. And, as we come in, and, there's been a lot of change at Florida State over the last few years, and to be able to be with my players and with our coaches, it provided an opportunity for each challenge to be an example of how you respond. And that was something that we talked about throughout the course of this last year. Something we still talk about today is how you respond to all those situations. There were moments in this last year that we saw great highs with a big win, a top 5 win. And then there were moments of great lows. There were things that we had to adapt, adjust. But we were able to do it together. And I believe that's really helped set the foundation and build the trust around our team of who we are, what we're going to, what we're aspiring to do, and where we're aspiring to go. So I'm grateful for the challenges that we've got to experience, and I'm grateful for the relationships that have been built through those challenges and what that really sets us up to do here moving forward. But I'm extremely excited about the year that's ahead, excited about the personnel that we have, the guys that we get to coach, and the opportunities in front of us to help get Florida State back to where it deserves to be.
I like that. Mike Norvell talking about, listen, I am happy that we've been challenged. I'm happy that we've gone through this because it helped me to get to know my players. It helped me to get to know my team. Going through this pandemic, glass half full, it taught me about my guys. You heard earlier this week, Jeff Hafley said it at Boston College. He said, what a pandemic did for me is I learned more about my team during this pandemic than I would have learned about them if I was the head coach at Boston College for 4 or 5 years. So both of these gentlemen who are at their first ever ACC Media Day with the media, because last year they didn't have us there, Mike Norvell in his second season at Florida State, Jeff Hafley in his second season at Boston College, both of these gentlemen saying, I would not have the relationship I have with my players, the relationship I have with my team. I would not know them as well as I know them if not for the pandemic. Interesting. Interesting that they took it and utilized it as a positive. And if you can take a pandemic and find the positive in it, then you can find the positive in your daily life. Here's Mike Norvell with more from our conversation in Atlantic Action Week.
Coach, to go back to Mackenzie, going up against him in the American, just what you can say about what really fit in that conversation that you had with Mackenzie to bring him into Florida State and why it worked for you and why you feel like it's going to ultimately work for him potentially.
Mackenzie's the ultimate competitor. And we had some of the greatest games in college football history, going against each other and just seeing the way that he would respond. You're getting to see the impact that he made, not only on the field with his physical ability, but also making guys around him better. And the person that he is what truly makes him special. Kind of how he the whole change of culture there at our place and the success that followed that. And, Mackenzie and I got a chance to connect and talk about this opportunity. That's what I promised him. I promised him an opportunity to come and compete. Right? That's what he was looking for, and that's what we were looking for. Somebody to come in, the leadership that he provides, the way that he embraces that process. I think it makes everybody around him better. And last year we were the youngest football team in all of college football, and to bring in guys like Mackenzie, like Jermaine here, that have come in and played a tremendous amount of football and have had that success, but also the way that they embrace the process of growth and preparation. I think it's really provided a great example for our young guys and what they can expect and what they can do. They're in that locker room when coaches aren't around. And so we're all excited about that opportunity, and I definitely believe Mackenzie's going to make the most of it each and every day.
Mackenzie Milton, a true testament to fighting for what you want, believing in your dreams, believing in yourself, never giving up, having faith at a time where it's most difficult to. Because it's easy to have faith when everything's going well. Oh, I believe in God because I got everything I wanted. Oh, I believe everything's going to be okay because everything is okay. But what about when things aren't okay? What about your leg could be amputated? What about if he wasn't playing in Orlando and they couldn't get him in the hospital as soon as they did, that his life would be totally different right now and he would not be playing football, let alone would he even be walking? Faith, trust, hope, belief. Things that we might laugh off, things that we may not think are important, things that we may not think we have. Oh, God doesn't love me. I didn't get the money I asked for. Oh, God doesn't love me. My girlfriend broke up with me. Oh, God doesn't love me because I don't like my job. God doesn't love me because my kid died. God doesn't love me because my parents don't love me. Right? It's easy to say, God doesn't, God doesn't, God doesn't, God doesn't. But what does God? What does God do? Mackenzie Milton, and I don't know what his faith is, but Mackenzie Milton had to believe in himself. He had to have faith. He had to have hope. He had to have trust. He had to have perseverance. He had to have belief that he could get through what he's gone through. And he'll step out there on the field and he'll have one incompletion or throw an interception or fumble the ball, and people will say, look at him, he's garbage. And they'll forget everything he's been through, but he won't forget everything he's been through, and he doesn't need to focus on what people say and do, because nobody lived the life that he's lived. Nobody lives your life. Nobody lives your life for you. So nobody can truly define it or describe it better than you can. But you're the author. You're writing it. Write something that is worth reading. Mackenzie Milton could have given up on his life. He could have given up on himself. He could have lost his spirit. He could have lost his drive. He could have lost his nerve. He didn't lose anything. And even if he temporarily felt like he lost it, look at where he is right now. Look at what he's doing right now. Look at his life right now. And you're going to be able to look at him in a second because he's going to be here with Q&As. But not before Jermaine Johnson II, defensive end for Florida State. This is my conversation with Jermaine in Atlantic Action Week featuring Florida State.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coming from Georgia, why was Florida State the right fit for you? Why did this one make the most sense?
I got right there. Coach Philly called me. And everything he made, everything he said just made sense. He believed in who I was as a man, he believed in who I was as a player, and he believed in who I could be, and I feel like we share those values. And I couldn't wait to get here and give everything I had to him and his program. Every day I wake up happy and I feel blessed that I'm able to give all I have to this program. It just feels like it's right. It feels like it was made for me, and I'm just blessed to be in the position.
Asking Jermaine Johnson II, why did you choose Florida State amongst everybody else? And he pointed right off to the side. He said, because of that man, Mike Norvell. Now, folks, I know that some of you may not know Mike Norvell. I know some of you may not like the move. But guess what? I don't know how many games Mike Norvell is going to win at Florida State. I don't have a crystal ball. What I do know is covering him 4 years at Memphis, I have respect for him and how he's treated me, how he has gone about himself, and what he built in Memphis. And I believe he can build something up in Florida State, but you're going to have to give the man time. So, but look at Jermaine Johnson II. Why did you leave Georgia? Why did you leave the SEC to come to the ACC? Why did you leave Georgia, who's doing better than Florida State, to come to Florida State? And he said, because of that man. And he pointed off camera to Mike Norvell. Just a note I want to make. Well, pretty much dang near everybody brought a quarterback to ACC Media Day, ACC Media Kickoff, I should say, the ACC Kickoff down in Charlotte. 14 institutions. Syracuse didn't bring a quarterback. Everybody else having representation of a quarterback. Well, Florida State brought 2 quarterbacks. So maybe they brought an extra one because Syracuse didn't bring any, just to even it out. Here's Jordan Travis and his thoughts from our conversation, quarterback of Florida State.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Jordan, for you to come into this season, having Mackenzie come in, how have you kind of played off of one another? What can you say about the competition, and how do you improve Mackenzie? How does Mackenzie improve you?
First off, Mackenzie also that boy. He works hard every day. He's been through a lot. I've been looking up to him for many years now. Just seeing where he's came from, I'm blessed to have him here. So I'm ready to get ready to work with him. I'm next to him. If I'm behind him, I'm thankful for every opportunity I have. I'm thankful to be at Florida State. So.
If I'm next to him, if I'm behind him, I'm happy to have him here. Jordan Travis. Big words. Big words, because listen, you want to be the starter. You want to be the person, right? You didn't come on the team to be the backup. But he said, I'm happy Mackenzie's here. And in building that relationship and doing what they've done, to see where they're going to go and see how they're going to be and see how they're going to work together. I don't know how this is going to all shake out with the two of them together. But I would imagine that Mackenzie Milton plans on being on the field. And I'd imagine that Jordan Travis wouldn't want to sit and watch. So we'll see what Mike Norvell has up his sleeve as we get closer and closer to the season and during the season. But I would anticipate that we're going to see them both in some capacity at some point during the season. We're going to at least see both of the guys out there. Speaking of the other guy, I've been waiting a long time for this. Mackenzie Milton, Florida State. Here we go.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Mackenzie, for you, everything that you've been through, I know you talked about it a little bit, but what were maybe some of those turning point moments that you can go back to, those pillars, to get back to standing here today and playing college football again? And secondly, some of those people along the way that you want to credit for helping you.
Oh, man. I mean, there's so many people that helped me through this process. First one that comes to mind, Mary Banner Hyman, the head AT at UCF, Dr. Bruce Lee, the surgeon out of Rochester, Mayo. But I mean, there's so many people, assistant trainers, student trainers, like, darn near everybody got their hands on my leg at some point at UCF and even at FSU. I would say the big thing for me at first was just getting the range of motion back in my knee, just feeling comfortable enough to go out. If I prefer to get backed up on the football field, I would feel comfortable taking a hit or something like that. And then, like I said earlier, just being able to get out there and run scout team last year at UCF, just being able to practice, get my feet wet, feel comfortable running, cutting, throwing. Getting live bullets at me, the defense, rushing me and whatnot. Just being able to do that, those were big pillars for me, those were big steps for me. And then obviously moving through spring ball, competing at a high level, just doing that, just going through summer workouts feeling good this past year, just, not missing days, not feeling like, oh man, I can't do this today because, my leg's too sore. I feel like I'm right where I need to be in terms of health, and shout out to my mom too. She's been here every step of the way since I got hurt every day. She's been living with me, and there are things I I could have made myself and stuff like that. So, you know, that's something I'll never be able to repay her for. Yeah, shout out to Mom.
Mackenzie Milton thanking a lot of people. Look at that smile, that smirk at the end. What did he say? Shout out to Mom. He said his mom has been living with him, helping him through this process. That's big, you know? And I want to believe everybody's got a mom like that. I know I do. I know I have incredible parents. And I know that if I needed my mom or my dad to come stay with me, that they would. They have. You know? When stuff happens in my life over the years, you know, my mom stepped up, my dad stepped up. It doesn't matter how old you get, you will always be their baby boy or baby girl. And they will always want to take care of you. And I'll be the same type of dad. You know, my daughter, God forbid, you know, something like my daughter's like 40 years old and, you know, she goes through something. I'll go stay at her house for a couple of days, make sure she's okay. You know, my son says, hey, you know, Dad, I'm nervous. I'm on the West Coast and, you know, I come home every day and I drive myself nuts. I'll fly out there in a heartbeat to sit with him for a few days and be like, listen, let's go get lunch. Let's go get a burger. Let's make some memories together. You can think about me when you're having a tough day because, you know, you'll have memories of me in the house and all that stuff. Memories of me here with you, and because I'm always here with you. You know, great parents are great parents all the time. They may not be perfect, right? But they're great parents all the time. And what I mean by they're great parents all the time is mean they love you. And they're going to be there, right? They're going to be there. My parents, we agree, we disagree. We have ups and downs and around the corners. But when I call them, they answer the phone. Or they call me right back. My parents, I'm 35 years old. My parents are always there. They're always there. You know? And, you know, I take that for granted because I've had that, you know? And my dad the last few years really trying to be there every day. My mom my whole life, you know, just there. So, you know, to have both of my parents really want to like talk to you and be on the phone with you and be around you and to have a meal with you and whatnot, I mean, it goes a long way and it means a lot. And you know, don't take it for granted. I'm talking to myself and I'm talking to you. Don't take it for granted. Because, you know, some people can't call their parents. Their parents passed away. Some people can't call their parents because they don't know who their parents are. Some people can't call their parents because they don't know where because their parents are alive, but they don't know where they are. So, you know, really just appreciate what you have. And if you have parents that love you, that answer the phone, they get dinner with you and lunch with you and all that stuff like my parents do, call them up today and say I love you. Because that hit home when Mackenzie said to me, my mom has been taking care of me. My mom moved in with me and has been with me. So shout out to Mom. You know? And for a young man to admit that, correct? Because some people will be embarrassed. Oh, my mom lives with me. And he's not embarrassed, you know. He's not embarrassed. He told the world. My mom came and, you know, and she's been taking care of me. Because some people, their mom would come take care of them and they wouldn't tell anybody about it because they'd be embarrassed about it. If you got a mother that'll come take care of you and be there for you, a father that'll come take care of you and be there for you, you're blessed. You're blessed more than other people out there. So there's a lot of things that I respect and I like about Mackenzie Milton at UCF and now getting to see him at Florida State and, you know, really excited because I cover both the teams, you know, every single year. And so it gives me an opportunity to keep him around, which is like Mike Norvell. It's kind of ironic. I had Mike Norvell at Memphis. Now I have him at Florida State. I had Mackenzie Milton at UCF. Now I have him at Florida State. So kind of funny how that happens. But, yeah, shout out to all the parents out there that do amazing things because, you know, Mom, you taking care of Mackenzie, he wouldn't be where he is today without you, I'm sure. So thank you for what you're doing, Ma. And shout out to Mackenzie Milton for telling us how awesome his mom is. And hopefully he tells her, more importantly, that he tells her every day. So that being said, we'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we spin back around, we'll bring you our final piece of today's show, which is our Atlantic Action Week coverage of the Clemson Tigers. But it's not the last team that we have. We have Syracuse tomorrow to round out Atlantic Action Week. Plenty more still coming up, including on today's broadcast inside of MaandPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Use the promo code MaandPazPopcorn.com wherever you live in the country. If you're a Clemson fan, you can go to MaandPazPopcorn.com. Use my promo code DT20 and get 20% off. If you're a Florida State fan, you can do the same thing. Have it shipped right to you in Tallahassee, shipped right to you in Clemson, or wherever you may be around the country. So make sure you do that today. And, of course, to my people in Central and Upstate New York, if you go to MaandPazPopcorn.com for in-store pickup, you can get 20% off, but you have to order online. MaandPazPopcorn.com. Use the promo code DT20. That is DT20. So, Clemson Tigers coming up right after this fast break. Head coach Dabo Swinney, as well as offensive guard Matt Bockhorst and quarterback DJ Uiagalelei will be joining us on Wake Up Call right after this inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We appreciate you so much for being here, and thank you as always for doing all you do to be a part of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. It never goes unnoticed, and I very much am thankful for it.
Cafe Kubal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafekubal.com. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpazsnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way out to the Millhouse Market, but download their app first before you go so you can have everything at your fingertips. On the Google Play or Apple App Store, get the Millhouse Market app, and that will have everything. The salads, the breads, the desserts, as well as the quinoa bowls, the rice bowls, the brick oven pizzas, and all of the sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community and ingrained in our taste buds, there is nothing like the Millhouse Market. That's why they're worth getting yourself out to, be it a mile away or 30 miles away. 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. for their drive-up, drive-through window. You don't have to leave your car. Just grab your food and go. Also, their indoor dining restaurants and, of course, their general store open for you Tuesday through Sunday at the Millhouse Market. Worth the drive every single time. Avicoli is located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is our home for Liverpool Warriors Athletics, our monthly show every single month on site on location at Avicoli's. Make sure you come out and see us just minutes from Liverpool High School. You can walk from the restaurant to the high school and vice versa. They've been your neighbor in our community for over 2 decades. Avicoli's here with us Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. And, of course, there is their pizza, casual dining side, their fine dining side, their bar, and their outdoor dining. Multiple different ways to enjoy Avicoli's today. And you can call them for takeout, delivery, and catering at 315-622-5100. And, of course, go to myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. You're home for your furry loving friend. You're home away from home for them. They treat our dogs like family. I know that by how they treat Lily and everything that they have done. From grooming to daycare to long-term care at dog boarding to playing with the dogs and making sure they're fed and they have everything they need. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding are the perfect places to take your furry loving friends so they can play with some new friends as well as some old friends. And, of course, to be around a staff that truly loves and appreciates our animals and appreciates our community. Look no farther than Canine Camp Dog Daycare when you need somebody to take care of the dog for the day. 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse. And, of course, the Campground Dog Boarding, where each dog has their own cabin, kind of like staying at a hotel. And you can find them at 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse as well. PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love to follow all over in central and upstate New York. You can now go to their Street Side Cafe. When you're craving their food, when you heard great things about it, when you went to the food truck and you were at an event and you got something but you wanted to try other things on the menu, well, guess what? That food truck that you love so very much now has a cafe to go with it. 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Minutes from Destiny USA, the highway, the thruway, and Onondaga Lake Parkway. Head out to PB&J's Lunchbox today and get their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly, as well as their Philly cheesesteak, and so on and so forth. I just tried their Philly cheesesteak wraps with the cheese sauce. Folks, PB&J's Lunchbox is the place to go. You can order breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, I have trusted them for almost a decade with my body and my health and my path to victory. And 791 West Genesee Street in Skinny Atlas is now the perfect place for you to trust them with your injury, rehab, whatever you have going on. From head to toe, they treat injuries throughout your entire body, preventive care as well as rehab and physical therapy, and of course surgery. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, led by Dr. Mark Petropoli, care about you. They sit with you, they talk with you, they want to know how their patients feel, what their patients are thinking, and what their patients want. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Caring and listening are two massively huge things that you don't find in many places. Well, you find it at Victory, where they understand that every single step, even a small step forward, is a step toward your own personal victory. 791 West Genesee Street in Skinny Atlas. Call for them. Call them for an appointment today at 315-685-7544. That's 315-685-7544. With that being stated here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as we round out today's broadcast, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, we have Clemson coming up next in Atlantic Action Week, and 3 representatives from the Clemson Tigers that you'll hear from on today's show. First and foremost, Dabo Sweeney here on Wake Up Call, in my question to him about his faith. And this is what he had to say. Always loved speaking with Dabo about this.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach, you have never shied away from being a strong man of faith and publicly speaking on that. What has this past year and a half taught you, and how do you use it as a leader?
What has it taught me? I think just a even more deeper appreciation for life, for family, for the ability to do what you love to do with people that you love doing it with, the little things, just a deeper appreciation for that. I think it's more than anything, but most of all that God's still on the throne, it's my word last year was faith, and I had no idea. I don't ever know why my word is my word, but last year was faith, and certainly grew in my faith through this past year, and thankful that I've got a God that is there all the time and available 24/7, and has paved the path for all of us.
That coming from Dabo Sweeney. I'm grateful that I have a God that is there for us all the time, available 24/7, and has paved the path for all of us. Always appreciate speaking with someone who knows that there's something much bigger than them. And a lot of people don't think there's anything bigger than Clemson out there. But Dabo Sweeney, he does. And he's unafraid to talk about it, unapologetic about it. He has a strong faith, and I greatly appreciate it. Coming up next in Atlantic Action Week, to stay with Clemson, we have offensive guard Matt Bockhorst. And this is what he had to say.
Matt, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. The offensive line this season, just what you can say going into 2021, your assessment of the line at this point as you get set.
First thing I'd like to say is that our offensive line has had an incredible summer. The competition that I've witnessed from our group is unmatched during my time here at Clemson. I think that the energy of the young guys, coupled with the experience of myself, Jordan McFadden, and Will Putnam, I think we're in store for a special year. I think that really all needs to come to fruition here in camp in a couple weeks, but I know we'll be well prepared heading in to play Georgia, given the fact that we get to compete against an elite defensive line every day in practice.
Preparing themselves against an elite defensive line every single day in practice. Matt Bockhorst talking about this team and what they have to show. He thinks there's a special season to come, but they obviously have to prove it as they step forward. So appreciate Matt Bockhorst there. I mean, listen, when it comes to Clemson, there's teams that are looking for a strong offensive line in one of the last 10 years. When you go to a place like Clemson, you have a strong offensive line this year, you lose a bunch of people, you got a strong offensive line next year. It's the same thing with the defensive line. Yeah, it may take some time. Yes, there might be some ebb and flow. Yes, there might be some transitionary stuff and whatnot. But when you go to a place like Clemson and you're worried about what are we going to do without this guy? What are we going to do without that guy? What are we going to do without this guy? And then you see, oh, well, it's just the next man up, because a place like Clemson, led by Dabo Sweeney, knows how to recruit, knows how to bring in the right people, and they know how to win. And the guy behind the guy behind the guy is capable of playing probably in most places around the country. That is a beautiful thing that places like Clemson can boast of, but obviously not everybody can. Coming up next is a name that many people around the country, I'm sure, are trying to figure out how to say. Because when I speak about people coming up after people, right? Trevor Lawrence is gone. Oh my goodness. What will Clemson do? Well, they're going to have to keep playing, right? They're going to have to find a way, right? They're going to have to go to the next guy, right? And the next man up, DJ Uiagalelei. Clemson had Deshaun Watson. And the thought was, what are they going to do after that? Clemson had Kelly Bryant. And the thought was, if this isn't working out, what are we going to do after that? And now Clemson had Trevor Lawrence. And they won. And they won. And they won. And they continue to win. But what are they going to do after that? Well, this man's had 2 games under his belt due to COVID affecting Trevor Lawrence. So DJ Uiagalelei is now the quarterback of Clemson. What are they going to do now? Well, they're probably going to keep winning. That's what DJ had to say.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. DJ, for you last season, the couple games that you got to get into when Trevor was out due to COVID protocol, just what your takeaways are to go back to that film and what you can say about stepping into this season as the true leader.
Some things I would definitely say was definitely a true blessing to be able to get some starts in the game last season. We got a whole week of preparation to become the starting quarterback, so be able to get into that Notre Dame film. And there's definitely a lot of things I can take from last season. Learned a lot, being backing up Trevor, seeing the way he runs the field, see the way he just treats off the field too. This is how he's a true definition of a professional in my eyes. That's why I feel like Trevor I can take from him last year and learn from the different games. There's a lot of stuff that I can take from my own experiences.
A lot of stuff he can take from Trevor Lawrence, DJ Uiagalelei, as he gets set to truly have the keys to the team this time around. Very excited to see what DJ is going to do with the team. High hopes of Clemson. Obviously, the media has chosen Clemson to not only win their side in the Atlantic, but to win the ACC championship again. Taking a look at both of these teams, Florida State's schedule this season doesn't get any easier. They have Notre Dame, but they have Notre Dame in Tallahassee, which is good stuff. Notre Dame going to be happening on September 5th, the first game of the season for Florida State at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Then they have Jacksonville State, who they almost lost to last year. That game is at home once again in Tallahassee. Then they'll be at Wake Forest. Louisville and Syracuse, they'll get at home on October 2nd. Your boy might be down on October 2nd in Tallahassee as Florida State and Syracuse will face off against one another. At North Carolina, UMass at Clemson, NC State, Miami at home, and then at BC. And this year in the Florida State-Florida rivalry, we will see Florida State head to Gainesville on November 27th. Now, record last season in a very unique season where they kept starting and stopping and canceling a game last second and this, that, and whatever, and obviously not making too many friends when they do things like that. Taking a look at Florida State last season in a, like I said, very unique year, Florida State finished the season only playing 9 games instead of 11. They went 3-6. And so they faced Georgia Tech, lost to Georgia Tech by 3 to start off the season in Mike Norvell's first game as the head coach of Florida State. They were ranked 5th in the nation. Notre Dame and North Carolina lost to Notre Dame by 16 and then came back and defeated North Carolina by 3 and did that at home. Lost to Louisville, Pittsburgh, and NC State in a row and finished off the season on December 12th with a win over Duke. 56-35 in a game that was obviously moved. They did not play Clemson, they did not play Virginia, and they did not play Wake Forest. So those were the games that were supposed to be on their schedule, but they did play Duke. 56-35, winning that game to end the season. 3-6 overall. 2-6 in the ACC, as the ACC only had 1 game allowed non-conference last year during COVID times, and that was the Jacksonville State game. Taking a look at Clemson, who obviously was living in a different world last year than Florida State. Taking a look at Clemson, and we'll do this in a Tarantino way. We'll take a look at the 2020 schedule, and then we'll go back to we'll go forward, I should say, to 2021. Clemson last year, who did not play Florida State, like I said, they only had 2 losses last season, and those losses were to Notre Dame and Ohio State. Unfortunately, the second loss of the season was in the college football playoff semifinal, so they didn't make the championship game, as they typically do. Clemson started off the season winning at Wake Forest and then home against Citadel, Virginia, and number 7th ranked Miami, who they defeated 42-17. They won at Georgia Tech, beat Syracuse and Boston College at home. Lost to Notre Dame without Trevor Lawrence, DJ Uiagalelei playing in his second game, and they lost that game 47-40 on the road in double overtime. Here's the thing. They said that, and this is my issue with the College Football Playoff Committee. They're like, oh, Notre Dame, made it to the College Football Playoff because they defeated Clemson. And I was like, okay, well, they defeated Clemson once. They played Clemson twice. And what have you done for me lately, if they look at it that way? They beat Clemson. Okay, here's the thing. They defeated Clemson at home without DJ Uiagalelei, and it took them 2 overtimes to win by 7. When they had Trevor Lawrence going up against them, and they played in the ACC Championship, they lost by 24. So when Clemson's at full go, Notre Dame loses by 24. When Clemson doesn't have their starting quarterback, the backup quarterback's only in his second collegiate game ever, and Notre Dame's playing at home, it takes them double overtime to win the game? If anything, that would show me, okay, if it takes you double overtime to beat my backup quarterback and you're at home, and then when you play my starting quarterback, you lose by 24, 3 touchdowns and a field goal, I think that would more than show me that the first win against Clemson was, not really that important. But Notre Dame got preferential treatment over Texas A&M and Cincinnati that they didn't deserve. And here we are. And that's not to say I don't respect Notre Dame. I'm saying in this situation, it doesn't make any sense. Clemson losing that game, then winning against Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech, and Notre Dame in the ACC Championship game, and falling to Ohio State 49-28 in an uncharacteristic game for the Clemson Tigers where they lost by 3 touchdowns. So, last season, 10-2, 8-1 in the ACC because Notre Dame was considered an ACC team last year, so that is their one loss in the ACC. Clemson this year will have a schedule that starts off with Georgia. A game's going to be at a neutral location on ABC at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, September 4th. Then they'll play South Carolina State. They play South Carolina and South Carolina State. They'll play South Carolina State at home, Georgia Tech at home. So 2 Georgia teams in their first 3 weeks. Then they'll be at NC State, Boston College at home. And then Friday, October 15th, just 6 days before my birthday, they will be playing inside of the Dome here in Syracuse, New York at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Clemson will come to town, which I know many people will want to be there for, and God willing will be able to be there for. Then they'll be at Pittsburgh, so they'll stay on the road at Syracuse, at Pitt. They'll come home to play Florida State on Saturday, October 30th, which hopefully Florida State will be better this year, and that game will have some meaning. Then they'll be at Louisville. Then they play UConn. Instead of the second to last game of the season, they're playing UConn on Saturday, November 13th. Then they'll play Wake Forest and at South Carolina in their rivalry game, ACC-SEC battle for the state of South Carolina on Saturday, November 27th. So that's how things shake out for the Clemson Tigers, who are looking to do some good things with DJ Uiagalelei. Hopefully get back to the ACC championship game and hopefully get back to the college football playoff where Clemson has been every single year. College football playoff is just, it's Clemson and 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 it's Clemson. So that's how life shakes out in the college football playoff, in this 4-team playoff that we currently have. So as we look at it, and historically, going back and looking at it here, it started back in 2015, right? And I said every year, pardon me on that. The first year, Clemson wasn't in it. So 2015, no Clemson. Hard to believe, but it wasn't. 2015, it was Oregon, Florida State, Ohio State, and Alabama, and Ohio State won the first ever college football playoff championship. Now, mind you, Florida State made it in as the 3 seed, and the year before, they won the last ever BCS national championship with Jameis Winston. In 2016, it was Clemson, Oklahoma, Alabama, Michigan, and Clemson fell by 5 points to Alabama. 2017, Alabama, Washington, Clemson, Ohio State. Clemson returned the favor and defeat Alabama by less than a touchdown, this time 35-31. In 2018, it was Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson, and Clemson did not advance. It was Alabama versus Georgia in overtime, and Alabama won by 3. In 2019, it was Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, Oklahoma. Clemson defeated Alabama 44-16. 2020, it was LSU, Oklahoma, Clemson, and Ohio State, and Clemson fell to LSU in the championship game. And in 2021, Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Clemson fell to Ohio State in the semifinal and didn't make it to the championship, where Alabama defeated Ohio State. So Clemson has been in the college football playoff every single year except one, which was the inaugural college football playoff in 2015. Been there in 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. The last 6 years, they've been there. And within the last 6 years, they've made the championship game 4 out of the last 6 years, and they've won half of those. So 6 years in, made it to the championship 4 times, so more than 50% of the time, and won half of those. Not bad statistics for Clemson when there's 130 Division I-A FBS college football teams. So shout out to you, Clemson. Much love, and hoping the best things for you to come here. And very, very happy, and taking a look at this, getting a note here. DJ was another Quarterback One Netflix participant, just not featured. The QB1 docuseries is great if you've not checked it out. Provides great insight for these kids and the pressures of the recruiting process, plus being a senior in high school. So good stuff. Thanks to Greg, as always, for your notes and your messages. And with that being stated, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is going to bid you adieu for the day. Make sure you check us out every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life, on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as wakeupcalldt.com. And of course, you can find us in the archives, where we just added more than a dozen shows to the archive, so plenty of stuff for you to go to listen to. And appreciate at your leisure because it's available for you 24/7, 365, dating all the way back to 2012. So make sure that you take some time with our archive today, and you can search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, and Podbean. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and you'll find us at any one of those avenues, so make sure that you do that today. And, of course, a big thanks to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners here in our community doing fantastic things for our community. Definitely make sure you go out and give back to them today, however you can, wherever you can, whenever you can. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Honda City of Liverpool, Millhouse Market, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, PB&J's Lunchbox, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Go to maandpaspopcorn.com and use the promo code DT20 for 20% off today. Thanks to Papa Joe. Thank you to Florida State, to Mike Norvell, Jermaine Johnson, Jordan Travis, and Mackenzie Milton. And, of course, a big thanks to the Clemson Tigers as well in Atlantic Action Week. Dabo Sweeney, Matt Bockhorst, and DJ Uyungalale. We'll talk with you tomorrow with our trio of signature TGIF segments, the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, as well as Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay with Juanita Ward. The Top Dog of the Week announced from Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. And we will have Syracuse round out Atlantic Action Week with my conversations with Dino Babers, the head coach, defensive lineman Josh Black, offensive lineman Aaron Service, and wide receiver Taj Harris. In the meantime, find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.